What if I told you that the biggest predictor of whether an older woman lives past 80 has nothing to do with genetics? What if it had more to do with how you breathe, how you move, what you eat, who you talk to, and how your brain handles stress? Most people assume that how long they live is mostly determined by their genetics. If their parents or grandparents lived into their 90s, they feel confident about their own longevity. If not, they fear the worst. But this belief is outdated and largely unsupported by science. Research now tells us that only about 10% to 15% of our lifespan is actually controlled by genetic factors. The remaining 85% or more is shaped by our daily choices, how we live, what we eat, how we move, how we sleep, and how we manage stress. This is especially true for women after the age of 50, when hormonal changes, lifestyle routines, and brain chemistry begin to shift dramatically. Women face unique biological transitions such as menopause that can speed up the aging process if not properly managed. However, the key insight is this: these changes don't automatically lead to rapid decline. What matters is how you respond to them. A woman who builds healthy habits, like getting morning sunlight, lifting weights, managing social stress, and eating an anti-inflammatory diet, can literally reprogram how her body and brain age. These lifestyle choices influence telomere length, reduce oxidative stress, regulate blood sugar, and support mitochondrial health, all of which are critical markers of aging. Studies of blue zones, regions where people regularly live past 100, prove this point. These communities don't have superior genes, they have better habits. They stay physically active into old age. They maintain strong social ties. They eat whole foods and sleep with the rhythms of the sun. Most importantly, they live with purpose. These behaviors don't just support physical health. They positively influence the nervous system and lower the chronic stress that accelerates aging. This is empowering information. It means that growing older doesn't have to mean growing weaker or sicker. Instead of relying on luck or family history, women can take control of their health trajectory. Every day becomes an opportunity to invest in vitality. The way you breathe, move, eat, connect, and sleep all send signals to your brain and body that shape how long and how well you live. In other words, longevity is not just a matter of fate. It's a daily decision. And it starts by understanding that your future isn't written in your DNA, it's written in your habits. One of the most underestimated tools for female health and longevity is early morning sunlight. It may sound too simple, but the science behind it is profound. Within the first hour after waking, exposure to natural sunlight triggers a cascade of hormonal and neurological processes that regulate the body's internal clock, also known as the circadian rhythm. For women, especially those over 50, this process becomes even more crucial. As estrogen levels drop during and after menopause, the body becomes more sensitive to disruptions in sleep, mood, metabolism, and immune function. Morning sunlight helps stabilize these systems by influencing the release of cortisol, melatonin, and serotonin, hormones that directly affect energy, alertness, mood, and sleep quality. When sunlight hits the eyes, without sunglasses and preferably outside, it activates specific cells in the retina that communicate directly with the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock. This resets the circadian rhythm, ensuring that hormone production aligns with the natural day-night cycle. When this rhythm is consistent, it helps balance cortisol levels in the morning, encourages melatonin production at night, and keeps estrogen and other sex hormones within healthier ranges. This is essential for older women, as unbalanced cortisol and disrupted sleep can accelerate aging, increase belly fat, impair cognition, and lead to chronic inflammation. In practical terms, just 10 to 15 minutes of outdoor light exposure in the morning can lead to better sleep at night, increased energy during the day, and improved hormonal balance across the board. Even more importantly, it improves mood and reduces the risk of depression, which often spikes in women during postmenopausal years due to hormonal shifts. Furthermore, the exposure to sunlight also stimulates the production of vitamin D in the skin, a vital nutrient for bone health, immune function, and cognitive clarity, all of which decline with age if not actively supported. Ignoring the power of morning light means missing a daily opportunity to sync your brain, hormones, and body. In the same way that nutrition and exercise are seen as critical for health, light should be considered a fundamental part of any longevity protocol. The brain and body are designed to respond to natural light, and when you give it that signal consistently, it supports the very systems that help women live not just longer, but sharper, stronger, and more emotionally resilient lives. As women age, one of the most overlooked but critical factors in healthy longevity is the maintenance and development of muscle mass. After menopause, the body undergoes a significant hormonal shift, especially in estrogen and progesterone levels, which directly impacts bone density, muscle strength, and metabolic function. Without intervention, women can lose up to 1% of muscle mass per year after the age of 50, a process known as sarcopenia. This isn't just about physical appearance or strength, it's about survival. Muscle is a protective tissue that guards against insulin resistance, supports joint stability, and acts as a reserve during illness or injury. Yet many women are taught to focus on calcium supplements or bone density medications, while ignoring the root of the issue: muscle loss. Strength training, even just 2 to 3 times a week, has been shown to reverse muscle deterioration, improve bone density, and enhance overall metabolic health. When muscles contract under resistance, they send biochemical signals throughout the body that activate cellular repair, reduce inflammation, and improve glucose metabolism. This means better blood sugar control, lower risk of diabetes, and more stable energy levels throughout the day. It also directly benefits the brain by increasing levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF, a key molecule involved in learning and memory. Another essential point is that muscle tissue is metabolically active. The more muscle you have, the more calories your body burns at rest. This can help counter the midlife weight gain many women experience, particularly in the abdominal area. Moreover, muscle supports posture, balance, and coordination, all factors that reduce the risk of falls, fractures, and injuries that can dramatically shorten lifespan or limit independence in later years. It's not about lifting heavy weights or becoming a bodybuilder. It's about engaging the muscles with enough intensity to create adaptation. Bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, dumbbells, or even daily functional movements like squats and step-ups can be incredibly effective. The key is consistency. Building and preserving muscle isn't optional for women who want to live to 100, it's essential. When muscle is treated as medicine, it becomes one of the most powerful tools in protecting not just the body, but the brain, the hormones, and the future. One of the most powerful but often ignored drivers of longevity, especially in women, is having a strong sense of purpose. It's not just a feel-good idea, it's a biological reality. Neuroscience has shown that when a person feels their life has meaning, when they wake up with something to contribute, to learn, or to care about, it activates critical regions of the brain that influence not only mood, but also immunity, stress response, and even cellular repair. In older women, particularly those who have transitioned out of careers, caregiving roles, or active family life, the absence of daily purpose can create a deep void. This emotional gap isn't harmless. It directly affects physical health and increases the risk of chronic disease. The brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, is highly responsive to meaning-driven behavior. When you engage in activities that align with your values or goals, it enhances neural plasticity, increases dopamine, and reduces cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Over time, this neurochemical balance protects against cognitive decline, depression, and inflammation, all of which are major contributors to aging and disease. Studies have shown that elderly individuals who report a strong sense of purpose live significantly longer than those who don't, even when accounting for income, education, and baseline health. Purpose isn't just a mental state, it becomes a physiological strategy for survival. Purpose also encourages healthier behavior. Women with a reason to get up in the morning are more likely to exercise, eat well, stay socially connected, and follow medical advice. They're also more resilient to adversity. A woman who feels she is still needed, whether by a community, a family member, a cause, or even a personal project, is far less likely to fall into the cycles of isolation and despair that shorten lifespan. Her brain remains engaged, her emotions remain stable, and her body responds accordingly. Importantly, purpose can be found or redefined at any age. It doesn't require a job title or a massive mission. It could be volunteering, mentoring, gardening, creating art, supporting others, or learning something new. What matters is that it feels meaningful to the individual. That feeling fuels the brain in ways no supplement ever could. For women aiming to live past 80 and thrive while doing so, purpose may be the most underrated and most necessary form of daily medicine. Social isolation is one of the most dangerous and underestimated threats to health as people age, especially for older women. It has been scientifically shown to increase the risk of early death as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This isn't just about feeling lonely. It's about how the brain and body respond to chronic disconnection from meaningful relationships. The human nervous system is hardwired for social contact. When that contact is missing, it triggers stress responses that elevate cortisol, weaken the immune system, increase inflammation, and accelerate the aging of both the brain and the body. For women over 50, especially those who have lost spouses, retired, or seen children move away, social withdrawal can quietly become a major health risk. From a neuroscience perspective, regular social interaction stimulates areas of the brain responsible for emotional regulation, memory, empathy, and cognitive flexibility. In simple terms, talking to others keeps the brain active and adaptive. Even brief conversations, laughter, or shared activities can increase levels of oxytocin and dopamine, chemicals that reduce anxiety and improve motivation. Without these interactions, the brain can fall into a loop of negative thought patterns, which in turn lead to depression, poor sleep, and decreased activity, all of which feed into the cycle of decline. There is also a behavioral impact. People who are socially engaged tend to be more physically active, more consistent with healthy routines, and more likely to seek medical care when needed. They eat better, move more, and recover faster from illness. Social connection acts like a buffer against life's inevitable challenges, making people more resilient both mentally and physically. The absence of this buffer can make even small problems feel overwhelming and life-threatening. Importantly, meaningful connection doesn't require a large social circle. Even one or two deep, consistent relationships can have a major positive impact. What matters is the quality of the connection, being seen, heard, and valued. For older women, cultivating these relationships through community involvement, group activities, faith organizations, or even digital meetups can literally add years to life. Social connection is not a luxury or a side note in health, it's foundational. In the pursuit of living to 100, maintaining strong relationships may be as critical as diet, exercise, or sleep. Creating a daily protocol that supports longevity doesn't have to be complex or time-consuming. In fact, a well-designed 30-minute daily routine can produce powerful benefits for brain health, hormonal balance, inflammation control, and overall energy, especially for older women. The key is consistency and targeting the systems that matter most: the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the immune system. When these systems are aligned, the body enters a state of repair and protection that slows the biological aging process and enhances vitality. This isn't about intense workouts or drastic diets. It's about small, strategic habits repeated daily that influence the way your body functions at the cellular level. The first part of this protocol should begin with early morning light exposure. Stepping outside within an hour of waking, even for just 10 minutes, helps reset the circadian rhythm, regulate cortisol, and prime the brain for alertness. This also improves sleep quality later in the evening, which is essential for cellular repair and cognitive resilience. Immediately following that, gentle movement, such as a brisk walk, stretching, or light bodyweight exercises activates circulation, increases lymphatic drainage, and boosts endorphins. This movement doesn't need to be intense. The goal is to wake up the body and reduce stiffness, especially important as joints and muscles become less responsive with age. The next layer of the protocol can include a short breathing or mindfulness session. Just 5 to 10 minutes of deep nasal breathing, box breathing, or even guided meditation can significantly lower stress hormones and bring the nervous system into a parasympathetic, rest and digest state. This helps reduce chronic inflammation, improves digestion, and supports better focus and emotional regulation throughout the day. For nutrition, starting the day with a protein-rich, anti-inflammatory meal, something simple like eggs, leafy greens, or a smoothie with added fiber can stabilize blood sugar and reduce cravings that lead to poor dietary choices later. This 30-minute ritual not only sets the tone for a healthy day but compounds over time. The human body and brain thrive on rhythm and predictability. When you give them daily signals of safety, nourishment, and movement, they respond with increased resilience and longevity. For women who want to live past 80 and thrive into their 90s and beyond, these consistent actions are more powerful than any supplement. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better, one purposeful morning at a time.